Okay, so today our objective would be uh, to understand the Spring security and with respect to the theory in the last class we have already discussed why need application security and as a general concept we discuss for accessing any API, any URL, uh, our objective would be each and every endpoints must be authenticated, and that means a required credential like user and password. And similarly, might be after authenticated user, they have some limited access and permission, right? That is known as authorized. So all the things we are going to look at a example how these are theory work, right?
Right.
Let's start with the basic Spring documentation, right? And you go to the Spring website, and here have a Spring have a lots of project you can say like a Spring Boot, Spring Framework. Similarly, we have a concept of Spring Security, right?
Right.
Just click on the Spring Security, and here Spring Security details are the given. Given some simple project as well as right, whatever you do, and if you
Spring
want to,
Spring has many things on the left hand
yeah,
side.
yeah, Spring have many things, right? Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah.
So let's say start our. Maybe you can start from the maybe getting from security start here.
Right.
You
Yeah.
can start. Let's basic. So as usual, there are details mentioned each every things. Okay. Uh, so first, what I'm thinking, let's develop one basic application, and that's give us some endpoints, and that's are previously accessed by everyone. And then after that, we are going to apply the security, right? And let's check. Hey, now our endpoints become a secure, right?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Makes
good
sense.
method. Instead of directly applying the security, right? So good option. Let's Google start fresh application, right? Don't okay. This is the fresh one Maven project, and use the uh, mm, Spring Security, right?
Right.
Spring Security demo, right?
Right.
And this is just a jar file, and this is Java 21, and add dependency. As of now, just want to web implementation, and maybe you want to when we are going to authentication authorization, that means you need a user, right? User maybe want to store in the database, right? So that key user can be authenticated, right?
Right.
So let's need a JPA, okay, to store data. And good option we can MySQL use, right? MySQL
Right.
driver, you can use Lombok, okay. So these basic Spring Web for building the API, data JPA, MySQL, Lombok, right? And one additional things we required is Spring Security, right? So this dependency we are going to add later, right? So that we get the flavor. Why? What this play a role, right? As of now, I'm not adding.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
So just simple. Let's download the application. So quick, and whatever are going to do, you already know.
Yeah.
Let's then let me clean and again download. Okay. Okay, where is that? Refresh. Where is gone? Something did route clear down. Just extract them and go there and open the project. So here, first objective, let's going to build couple of basic endpoints, and we are going to bifurcate, decide which endpoints, which users are allowed to access, which are not. Maybe some endpoint that can be accessible to everybody without credential, right? Some endpoint can be accessible by the only login user, and some are the admin specific, right? So such bifurcation we can create, right?
Based on role.
Yes, based on role, you're right. We have to based on role. Yeah.
Yeah.
We have to also discuss authorization part, right? So now let's my application is open. Most probably, yes. All the dependencies are here. Resources are here. So we added the MySQL, so we need a MySQL dependency, right?
Right.
So let already we have a MySQL configuration. Just use them again, right? MySQL configuration. Somewhere, MySQL database configuration. Just copy them and use them, right? Same. And here. And use the let's port server.port. I will change the server.port 909. Okay.
Right.
So use this database, same database. That's okay. No, done. This is the database configuration. And if you want, let's if already exists, maybe drop and create again. Okay.
Right.
MySQL login and just root and just drop database and again create the same. Okay. Create and grant the permission, right?
Right.
So that's database done. As of now, it's good. And now we are just develop some basic one-to endpoint, right? Come here.
So
And
you
here,
want to use Swagger?
as of now, later you can use, but our objective not to just secure the browser, right? Later you can verify anyway,
Okay.
right?
Okay. I see.
And here I can just use the our REST controller, my controller, okay, class, okay, and here you can public static instead of return a string and default. This is my default page, default method. Yes, so we have given one API like get mapping, right? Get mapping, and this mapping would be like slash. If you pass anything, this is the default for everybody, right? Just
Right.
return the. I'm not going to write any business logic. Just return the basic, okay? Return. This is default API for everybody, for all. Okay. This is the message I can get. Okay. Whenever I say by default this API available for everybody. So similarly, we can going to create some endpoints and like some public, some private, some admin user, some role user, and just some test there is no any problem, right?
Right.
It should have started. Hope. Yes, it started. And let's go and say, hey, 9090, and this is the one, right? This is the default API for everyone. That's good, right? And let's
Right.
add couple of more similarly. One uh, API slash API, okay? Slash API. If someone access, this is the hmm, means not this not default API. This is I want only authenticated person can access, right? So maybe API method, and this would be authenticated API. This is for authenticated API, right? Not
Right.
not for everyone, okay? And similarly, let's I can create one more API for let's for uh, admin, okay? This API only access my admin API, okay? API.
Right.
This is maybe admin API. This is for this is the admin API, okay?
Right.
So with this endpoint only accessed by admin, this one by any user, and maybe one more, maybe some. Uh, this is let's okay. This is the three, and later part you can add anything, right? Later part, okay. So as of
Right.
our basic understand, I want this endpoint is access for everyone without any authentication, without authorization.
Right.
But this endpoints I want only access by the authenticated person.
Right.
This is also authenticated, but not this user. Maybe admin user, admin role only can access. Okay, so
Right.
this is
Right.
the objective. And if I restart, currently these endpoints are accessed by the everyone because there is no any kind of a login, logout a concept till now implemented, right?
Right. No logic behind it.
No logics. Okay, and that's good. And if you check, hey, this is for everybody. And if I run slash API, so this is also for authenticated API, but still I'm able to access, right?
Right.
Let's say slash admin slash API, still I'm able to admin API. Means key currently our API is not secure. Means anyone across the world can access, right?
Right.
So till now, same thing we have develop for all. Here you can written all the business logic, like create, update, delete, whatever the right. Our objective is not to implement the API. Our objective to understand how to securing our API, right?
Right.
So let's now we are going to our objective now. I don't want this to endpoint access to without authentication, right? So how will do? Maybe I'm going to write some username, password, authentication, authorization, something, right?
Right.
So let's I'm going to use the help the Spring Security, right?
Right.
So here say, hey, I'm going to now we are going to Spring documentation here, Spring Security, and here by default this is the maybe project repository, prerequisite community, maybe module samples, prerequisite. What they mention something? No, no migration. Getting started. Getting starting separate, right? Here go at here mention you can just add Maven dependency. What is the Maven dependency? Spring Security, right?
Yeah.
See, even you can here or you can simply so this is the my application. Here say hey add security, right? Is
Right.
Spring Security. Just select here and explore them here, and you find this Spring Security here. Notice this is the Spring Security dependency,
Right.
right?
Right.
Just I'm copy this and going to hey this is the my POM application, and I'm saying going to just add one more dependency, right? And once
Right.
done, and reload this Maven project, and let's look the magic after that. Okay, they are doing everything for you, just this one line dependency
Right.
done. And now let's start this application again. Say
This
hey,
dependency already has code in it.
Yes, dependency means jar file. Jar file means some code, right?
Right, right. Jar file, yeah.
The Spring Teams is written this code for you. And let's start. And
So when you create jar, it also create database in the as well as in the package.
you can, whatever the jar you can include, right?
Okay, okay. I see.
So notice, let's now I am going to access my endpoint, right?
Right.
909. Okay, access. So notice what they asking. They asking
Oh,
user and password.
yeah. So you just include the
Yes,
dependency
yes,
and
and they
then you start the application.
yes, and after that I am trying to access the 9009. They are saying, hey, no, that means by default all these endpoints are secure. You cannot anyone access this endpoint until you are not passing the username and password.
Right. Okay.
Even let's say I'm trying to access the different one. Let's say I want to access this API, right? Before I'm able
Mm.
to access, right? Here. And let's say I change here. Okay. I want to access. So again, the login page. The by default, our Spring framework say you are going to access any application URL, and I'm going to redirect to the login page. And this page is created by the Spring framework for you. The Spring framework given two by default API /login and /logout. So this Spring security modules are added because we are added in the POM file in the POM dependency, and POM dependency by default they are include this feature. The question is how I can log in, right?
Right.
So, so if you look the documentation, they clearly mention Spring documentation. Oh, very this. So here says once you include, okay, and whenever you're going to start, maybe somewhere mention whenever you're going to getting a start. So whenever you're going to start, look, hello Spring security. They are saying, look your log. They have generated what password for you. Notice. Let's check my
Okay.
log, and this is my server. And notice this is the one secure password generated for me. So this is the password we have to use. This is the password, and go here and say, hey, I want to. What is the user? By default, they create a username, user, and password this, and just try. Notice bad credential. Maybe again I'm passing something. Copy and your user and password. Now it's okay. Notice I'm able to access this page, right? And
Okay.
here we say, hey, / now accessible API.
Right.
I'm
Right.
I'm able to access other API as well as. Let's say I want to access /API. /API. Okay, /API. So now your applications are able to access API after login, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And so let's you can log out again. Say one API by default log out. So you are log out. So now log out. After log out, again you are trying to access the API. API. Again they ask the login page. So always they are asked login page until you are not providing credential, right?
Mm.
So this is the default nature is that by default all the API are secure. But our objective not, I want this API would be available for everybody without authentication, right?
Right.
And this must to be authenticated, maybe some public API or private API, anything, right?
Right.
So how will do? So for that, Spring says if you want to do customization, then you have to do something configuration, right?
Right.
So first things, whenever I'm going to let's say something I change here. Let's say here say I change this API. Let's say I say here maybe public API. This is the public API. Let's assume right? Public API. I change something. Okay, and this is the admin API. Okay, this is the public authenticated public API, right?
Right.
And this is the authenticated admin API. Good mention name. Okay. Admin API. And let's get restart. Whenever you restart, notice this password change again. So question is that this is not a good thing. I copy paste password this again and again, right? It should be, why not I put my password, right?
Right.
So for this purpose, we can, and one thing, Spring Security by default given only one user. Username is a user. Okay. So you can say only username and only one user can access all the applications. But it is also not a valid thing. But the Spring for the sample, they given ki at least one user can access everything, right? But in our reality, I need a multiple user, right? So first things, I want to change this password. I want my own password would be, right, instead of this random generated password, right? So for this, we have to go in application property and add Spring Security username and password here in the application property. This is the one way. So, okay. So good question is how to what is the property name, right? What is the key name? What is the property name? So always we refer Spring application property, right? Spring application property, and here all the common properties which are available we are using. So by default here you can find the Spring the security.username, Spring dot security, okay, dot user dot. These are the two property you can use, username and password. You can say, hey, this is my username. I want to change username, right? Here I want to change username, maybe okay, different. And similarly, this is my password. This is my roles. Here you can change, right? So let's, as I'm just name user and user, okay, password user, okay. So now I can log in from username user and password user as well, right? So this is the one way you can avoid this default generation password. Whenever you can add this entry, by default, Spring is not generating this password to you, right? So let's start and check, right?
So you just add it and rerun the application.
Yes, restart the run. So these configurations, whenever available in your application property file, Spring Security say, hey, user already want to configure from the application property file. So I'm not going to generate username password for you, right?
Right.
So notice here there is no any kind of password. So application is started, no password, right? So that means now I am going to access my application from this username and password. Okay. So here, if let's go and access my application 9090, okay, and the password, just type user and password also. Notice we are able to access, right? And even you can access any API, public API, this is the public API, and admin API, you are able to access, right? So here you can create only one user, they can access all the API. So one level of security is that at least all my endpoints which are developed are not accessible to anybody without authorization.
Right.
But our objective in the real case, something I want to public and something authenticated user, right? So how I'll do? How I'm going to say, hey, this endpoint is not required any kind of authentication authorization. Just leave them. But only these two we want, right? So for this, we have to use the what? Some Spring configuration. I have to tell Spring, hey, this URL and this URL must be authenticated, and this URL is allow them, right?
Right.
Somewhere we have to tell the Spring. So let's do how to do. And whatever I'm going to show you, all this available Spring documentation. Okay, just say Spring Spring Security here, Spring Web Security. Okay, whatever the document by default, whatever you are getting first page, all the configurations I'm going to write available in this document. I'm not any expert, just what the Spring documentation say, because we are using Spring Security, so we have followed the same documentation which Spring mentioned, right? So here mention this is the how you do custom. Uh, this is the things you have to do. Okay. to tell Spring, hey Spring, I want some custom validation, custom configuration, right? So let's do here. I'm going to write here. Even a good option, you can write separate class or anything, right? As you mentioned. Let's say I'm writing the same page. Okay, not an issue. Here say
Right.
class Spring security configuration, right? Security configuration. Okay.
Right.
Security configuration. Okay. First question: is any doubt till now?
So far, it's clear.
Because till now I've not written any code. Now we are going to write, right?
Hmm.
Before
Okay.
these already you know, right? How to develop endpoint and how to make a secure. Just add the form dependency Spring security, right? These things we
Right.
avoided, and your
And,
application
and
is by
and the
default secure.
application property, username, password, that
Yes,
will initially secure.
yes,
Now you will override that.
right. So this is the correct understanding. By default, Spring security come with only one username, that is the name of user, and password they generated randomly, right? So I don't want to random generally, then I'm given my password here. But this is just for testing. Real application, you cannot go whole application run for only one user, right?
Oh, so the real one is different. They look different.
Because this is just a starting point, so that by default say, hey, all my endpoints are secure. This is the default feature of Spring security, right?
Right, right,
But now I'm sorry, this is reality. I don't want all the endpoints to be secure. I want something different, customized, right?
right,
Then now we are going to say, hey, Spring. Generally, whenever you talk to say, hey, Spring, do something, that means we have to give some annotation, right? Give some hint. So here say, hey, Spring, this is my configuration class, right? Configuration class. And this
configuration.
configuration class is the uh, enable security, right? This is the what this means and enable web security, right? This is the documentation.
Right, right,
So enable web security. Just this mention this documentation. Okay, and good option whenever move the mouse, they give the sample code how to write each and everything, right? How to create user, how to do something, right? Each and
right,
everything are available here. So good thing, let's do. So here say web security, say then what we have to write here by default say you have to write this annotation. This is the in the last class we say uh, security is apply by the filter. Filter means before our request started last class say this is the my all the controller endpoint, endpoint 1, endpoint 2, endpoint 3. This is the my customer client send a request. Whenever request go to our actual API, before we have to check your request validation, right? This
right,
request is valid or not. If valid, then allow, or here notice whenever request go and our Spring framework say, hey, you already enable Spring security. I am not going to allow to call any endpoint. First, go to the redirect login page, right? Login page. So whenever you are hitting any API, go to the filter redirect to the login page, right? So your applications, this code is not invoked. If you username and password successfully, then redirect it again to the actual endpoint, right?
right,
In this way, we are going to implement some filters. Filters means before going to actual my endpoint, something check happen, right? This is the filtering. So here say let's do the filtering. So by default, this documentation say you can use this security filter chain, right? You have go to the security filter chain, this thing. Okay. So just say hey, same thing documentation here mentioned. Notice here also mentioned. Whatever you hear documentation mentioned, same by default our documentation here also mentioned. Just move the mouse, right?
hmm,
So just here say hey, I want to one bean configuration at the rate bean and here the secured. Okay, I am this is the your security configuration. Okay, so I am going to use this security chain filter chain, right? And just make, and this will uh, take the HTTP request, because I want to all the requests from HTTP, so I want to apply HTTP security, right? So here say, hey, I want to take HTTP security, right? HTTP parameter, okay? And this. And whenever say, hey, this can be throw exception, okay? Then handle exception and return this HTTP security dot build, means they return the your object of the default pin security.
So
Whenever
this
you,
is this a method? What is it?
this is the just we are going to prepare this security filter chain, means this
Mm,
you are going to create the object of this class, so that is string going to apply here for the
okay.
all the HTTP. I am tell what you do, which URL secure, which you are unsecure, right? So
So
here we are. Hmm.
in this line, what is the name of the class?
This is the class name, no?
Okay,
So
okay. And this is the like a
this is the
uh,
our configuration class. By default, whenever configuration class on the server start with, they are going to read, right? And here
mm,
say I am going to create one object name as a security filter chain. So this
okay, okay.
object developed by the for which HTTP security. Notice HTTP security dot build, returning the build. Build method. Notice build method. What return? They return the one object. What is the some custom created object? Already this will return this custom object, and this custom object internally implemented by your security builder, right? So don't go
Right,
detail.
right,
Just understand here whatever the configuration, same documentation here, each thing mentioned detail. If you want to understand what is this, right? Everything mentioned here, right? Data
okay, okay,
object,
okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
why this, what is the, why enable this, what this class do, because this class what do, right? So
Mm,
here mentioned the same thing, here mentioned security server. So we are going to just HTTP dot authorize request, just say, hey, now this is HTTP request, and say dot authorize request, authorize request, then this is the one thing, and authorize request, and after that just uh, and even you can move the mouse here, they help what the code you can write here, right? Notice they return this code what you can return right here. So good thing, whatever you're writing here you can mention to write. Just I'm like whatever the request come, let's say I'm say whatever the request I have received,
mm,
whatever the request, request dot, and here you can say which URL you want to permit for everybody, right? Which URL is for the admin, which URL for the, here you can specify. Now we have a request. So here say request dot matcher, means match the pattern. Here say what is the my pattern, slash slash for everybody, right? So here
right.
say, so good option here say just new line request, whatever the request we have, whatever the request we have, match for, here just
Slash
say
pattern. Yeah.
slash and dot permit all. This is for allow everybody, right? Good. So this is the way you can write the request. Here mention this is authorizer request, and whatever the role, if you want, I want to give the role as well as, but in this way. So here say uh, this all, and okay, and after that let's dot request matcher. I want this public API. Okay, whatever the public, maybe public API want to, here you can make multiple API, right? This is the public API, maybe public API, this is the one, right? Public API,
Right.
this is the two, maybe, right? Multiple API one, this is the one, this is the two. Okay, two. This is the public API one, this is the public API two, right? And similarly, admin have multiple API, right? Might have a admin API one, admin API two, right?
Right.
Okay. So here say I am going to say here again say string requester, anything start with the public, okay, slash public, right? Any API that start with the public, okay. Say any API that start with the public, okay, is double star, okay. And you have to check role, okay, has role, okay, has role. What role? Maybe no, user, okay. Just check it. This is the role is the user. I am one
Right.
user role, okay. And similarly one more for the admin, okay, admin. All the API that start with the admin, okay, admin. I am go to the admin user, okay. This is the role, has role, right? So in this way you can define permission, okay.
So anything after admin will be
Yes,
accessed by admin. All
right, yes,
the URL, like
right. Hmm.
everything. Star means like after admin slash
Hmm.
number of URL.
Here star means ki here API 1, API 2, API 3, edit, create, update, delete, something,
Mm,
right? Anything, right? I'm not going to match exactly, right? Just
mm.
starting, okay. And after that, this done, and here say dot any request dot authenticated, okay. And the same thing here mention. Notice here mention whatever the request matcher, permit all, and any request authenticated. Here mention, for example, here mention ki any slash URL or slash home. You can type multiple URL. Maybe one more endpoint slash home. Maybe, right. These two want to public. Maybe maybe someone
Oh,
says
I see, I see.
slash,
So
maybe slash home. Okay.
you can make by comma like
Uh,
multiple entry with
this is the home. Maybe home. Okay. Say
mm,
this is the home API. Okay. So these
mm,
two I want to allow publicly to everybody. So here say, hey, this comma slash home,
home.
maybe slash register page slash login page, right? These are not required authentication, right?
Right, right,
Here you can pass multiple, means ki here multiple matcher you can define. And here also say ki role as well. This public API which have a user roles, they can access. Here say ki this have a this role. Maybe you want to pass, hey, admin can access this role as well, right? So this API also let's allow admin can access public API as well, right?
right,
So here say, ki, hey, admin, you can admin as well as and you can user as well as. So here say user, multiple role you can set them, right? Maybe here roles something roles, okay, okay, has roles, okay. Let's has any role, has any roles, okay. Multiple roles you can add here, right? Role say
right.
this is the admin as well as your say user, okay.
So user can access admin too.
No, here say ki this API is accessed by admin as well as user, okay. Yes, yes. Here say ki this API only accessed by user, but let's say admin
Mhm.
only admin. Okay, as of now, let's admin only admin, right? So later part
Right,
we can
right.
add the more complexity, but you can do multiple role you can assign here, okay. Admin, okay.
Okay.
So as of now, just test it, it's working or not, right? And
Yeah.
this done, and after that what happened, where the password, someone prompt password say ki, hey, give the password for authenticated user, we require the password, right? So here say this done, request done, done with the default, okay. By default we need a password, username, password, right? So we can say,
Right.
hey, with the default one. So this is the till now we say whatever the HTTP request come, check every request. It will be good here, okay. Here say any request slash and home permit all, and any request public star has role user, and any API that start admin only accessed by the admin role, right?
Right.
And all requests must be authenticated, right? So this is the way we are configuring our Spring security, right?
All right.
So this is the lots of permutation combination here given the option. Now notice here, just we are informing is, hey Spring security, you do permission for this. That's all.
Right.
Question is that we need some user that have a capability like admin and user, right? So how can create role, right? First we need to some users as well as, because currently I have only one user, right? Only one user. So I need not one user. Let's say I am going to create at least two user. One is the user, one is the admin, so that they can check this API, right?
Right.
So question, how can I create user? So similarly, if you notice here already given option how you can create user. This notice the documentation already here given a like a role. In this way you can create. And whatever I am written, notice the same thing code also written here. Okay. Look, admin stars has role. This has a role, right? So good part, and whatever I code written, the same code written here, right?
Right.
So I am not going to any just maybe completely you can copy paste your code, right? Completely copy paste here, right? Completely copy paste, and you can use. There is a no any space. Just go to the completely copy paste and is a completely fresh thing. Okay, they are accessible. So by default, they code written for us. Okay. Okay, good. So let's by default, I'm talking use import. By default, Spring given some kind of user object to you. Okay, imports. So let's hear what I'm saying. So here say this is our whatever the HTTP request come, thrice request, and here okay, they miss the permit all. Here say dot any request match with the slash comma slash home. I okay home and say permit all. Okay. Dot permit all. So this request permit all admin user, and this is the your user slash public API. Okay, good.
Yeah.
So here you can create the users. So user we have to dot builders. Okay. In this way you can create user. Notice this user class is given by Spring Security. Notice this is the package come from the users class already given by the your Spring Security, right? And just create the one user object, username, user, password. Let's user again, okay? And role users. Similarly, you can use the build. Here by default, Spring have a this is the deprecated method. You can say so. Generally, avoid use to deprecated method. You can use the non-deprecated method, right? Builder. So here say
Build.
admin user and admin user. Let's password also admin, okay? And they have a role too, admin as well as the users. Means ki admin have a facility. They have a two role, admin role as well as the user role, right? So now notice I've created two user, one user, one is the admin user. And both user I am not as of now saving my database. Just wait, hold. Later part we can discuss. Currently just we created the two users and store my in-memory details. Notice the in-memory details. This is the user details service. User details service provided by the Spring class itself. All the user management, user create, update, delete, authenticate, some code written by the Spring. Due to that, say they created the user service and user detail class to create the user. So till now we have created a two. Here I missed the at the okay. Here we define our HTTP security means our yes build here. Okay. So here we define our filter chain, a filter chain, this request permit all, and this API only for admin, this API only for user. So
Right.
this have a role. So here we have to declare two users, user one and admin user. One
Right.
user have a username, same username and password, and role have a user role. So that this user can access all this my public API 1, public API 2, right? And similarly, if I'm logging from admin, admin can access admin API as well as the user API, both API, because here mentioned user roles can access by this and admin role can access by this, right? So till now, any confusion? What we did, we just configure our security, which API, which role can access, right? And here say, hey, user, you user have a your role this user have a role this.
So this is how you create user, not from the schema, nothing like that.
We'll do later. Let's slowly understand. Okay.
Okay,
As
okay,
of
okay.
now, Spring say ki by default you can create this way. Okay. But I'm saying ki we are going to take user from database. Okay. Don't worry. Okay.
Okay, okay, okay. That come later. Okay.
As of now, it's clear.
It's clear now. Yeah.
And here these users we store in the in memory. Generally, this come from the database. Later part I am going to change here. Did this user come from database, right? Surely I have a
Mm,
database. Why cannot store data in the database, right?
right,
So
right.
whenever these things you done, and whenever you start application, you are getting some problem. Okay, by default, notice this all the things I'm getting from this Spring documentation. They are mentioned everything here, right? I'm not writing any struct code. Notice they have given sample to code for you, right?
Right.
I'm just using the same. There is nothing extra, right? But just only what I change our API here, right? Configuration,
Mm,
which are permit all, which are not permit all. Okay, and let's start. Server started? No, let's start. And here one thing notice, password like a flat user and password. Spring and any security frameworks are really not interested. Password should be like flat text, right?
right,
Always password must be stored in deprecated format, right? Maybe some encrypted format, some change format, right?
right,
No one can read the password. So as of now, testing, we written user admin. But whenever you are going to access API, notice, let's try to access our API, okay? 9090. And notice this API are accessible, slash, right? Notice they're not asking a prompt, right? And
right,
let's, I am going to access slash my public API. Which API I want to access? So notice, and let's try to slash home. It's working or not, right? Slash home. Home also accessible, right? Good part. And let's I access public API something. So notice these two API are accessible, right? First two. There is no authentication required, right? And let's say I'm going to access this public slash this and slash and notice they are asking username password, right?
right.
That means this API are not accessed without authenticated, right? These are the
Mm,
authenticated API. So this route our route work, this route say for this two URL, they permit to everybody, right? But this URL say, hey, require this user's role. So question, whenever I'm trying to log in from my user, as of now user and password also user. Notice it will somehow not doing anything because they are throwing some exception. Main reason here is that they say password encoder. By default, Spring say you cannot use flat password like admin and something. I don't want flat password. It should be something encoded password. This is also good part. Password should be not flat, right? So how
right,
to? So good option. We need this password encoder. Means some object, some class that change my password, encode my password, right? So here say I'm going to add one more bean means ki I'm creating one more object, password encoder. Okay, import. So this password encoder, what is this password encoder? This, notice this is the interface. Interface means we need some implementation class, right? So you notice here, click here, lots of implementation class have. So by default, this documentation suggests that whenever you go to password encoder, you can is bcrypt password encoder. Why? I'm from where I know this documentation help. Whenever you go start running here, slowly say whenever you're going to use the password, by default your password is, whenever you change, you can use this your bcrypt password, right? Password must be encrypted format. So I'm going to use this bcrypt password encoder, right? So here say, hey, I am going to use bcrypt encode. So say return b bcrypt password encoder. Okay, here. Okay, just same. So here say I am going to this bin available, and here you can encode my password. Don't store flat password like a admin or something. So here say, hey, I am going to change my password. I already have a, this is my method, they return the subject, password encoder. So say, hey, password encoder dot encode method. And here say this password encode, right? So this is the extra things when I have to do, password encoder. So in this way, you can encode your password before saving, storing database. Okay, this is the idea. So as of now, here you look like I am able to see my username password, but reality, whenever you are going to create user, this comes from a user and you can encode password and store in the database. Okay.
Right.
Let's, I'm saying what would be the, actually if you look this, I'm just going to the print here. That's out. What would be the actual password would be? Just for your references, I'm printing here. You notice key, this user value can be converted to the encrypted encoded format. Just for FYI, right?
Right.
This is the user and this is the your admin password. Okay. So this is just security purpose. By default, Spring not allow you can store this password flat like a text, right? This password always hold the encrypted value like this password, right? In this way.
Right.
It's the restart. And generally, it is a good idea. You cannot store password. Later part, I'm going to read data and database. Then you show this password must be stored in encrypted format, right?
Right.
So let's whenever notes this would be started. Notice this is the way password is stored. This is the your user password, and this is your admin word. Notice. So you are going to store password in database file in this format. No one can understand what is the meaning, right? But notice this is what, this is the admin password. Admin means this is the value. Admin words are encrypted. The admin, right? Admins are encoded in the bcrypt format, this format, right? This information is stored in your database. And whenever from the user login, you type your actual password admin going to encrypted by the bcrypt from here and already store this. Those are going to the match, right? So always password match by the encoded password, not the actual password, right?
So in these two lines,
Uh,
the first line, they both are referring to a password.
yeah,
Both lines.
both are the password because I mentioned here the for your references. What is the meaning of this line? What is this output, right? The output of this I mentioned here. So the output means this user passwords are stored in this format. This is the actual
Mhm.
password. This is the actual password, right? Okay.
Okay.
So just for references, but yeah, I'm going to, and let's test. Now you can type with the user and that work fine. Let's go to the APIs /home home accessible, that's public API, public API, ask password, let's user, okay, what say,
Is denied.
okay,
Does user have access to API?
yes,
Mhm.
it must be accessible. What say, what the rules I'm defined? Let's check the role. Public slash I given the user role, right? This is
Right.
the role I given public. Public should be user and admin. Just check the name spelling. Here say public slash, yes. Okay, public slash API 1, right? API 2. There is no API. Okay. Here I am trying to search API only, right? I change the
Okay.
API name. Okay, that's okay. Fault. Okay. Restart. Okay. This is the public API 1, public API 2, admin API 1, admin API 2. It should work. Let's restart. Okay. So by default, we change the API, not API 1, right? There
Right.
is no here error say does not authorize because this there is no such a by default rule say if you want to access only this two URL, then you are okay. Else all other requests would require unauthorized, right? Means you are not authenticated user. This is the only allow for everybody else any request try to the my application Spring Boot say hey you are unauthorized any wrong URL or something, right? Let's restart it. I think it's not. Oh, sorry, I missed to start. And just little bit, then server started. And I want to go to access this URL, public URL slash API 1, right? If I am trying to only slash yeah home, it's accessible. There is no problem. But no, I don't want to access this. I want to access this URL, right?
Right.
And then as password, I go with the user, password also user, and they are accessible, right?
Right.
Let's say user try to access this URL, admin public 2. This is also accessible for user. This is accessible for user. Let's public user try to go admin API. Then what?
Now you need admin, but it will fail.
Let's try. No, this is the fail authorization, right? Because you
Yeah.
don't have a permission to access the admin API. That means admin API need the admin login, right?
So you need to log out first now in this
Yes.
situation.
Yes. Log out. I'm going to the logout, and I say, hey, I want to access the admin API. So they ask prompt, right? I am logging from admin, and now I'm able to access admin API, right?
Yeah.
And even let's try to the admin too. When all kind of URL you can accessible.
And if you
Admin
don't
too.
log out, then it will save in the cache.
Yes, right.
So
Yes,
log out will clear.
yeah, logout will clear. And whenever you are trying to access, let's public API. Let's say I want to access this public API. Admin can both have permission, user and permission. They can access, right? They can access.
Right.
Because here I am given the role. Admin have a two role. Admin have a admin role and user role, right?
Right.
So is it clear string configuration? This is little bit configuration, not so hard, right?
Not so hard, but this is I
Ah,
need, these codes are big. So, but
it's
this is like the configuration. Remember, we used to generate data and
uh,
save
uh,
without database.
right,
We used to generate data
uh,
using the configuration
right.
process. Yeah.
Let's
So this also start at the end of the server when you start the
right,
server, right?
right,
Oh,
right.
okay, okay, okay. Yeah, yeah.
So almost all we have covered things. Only things, these informations only user one, user two. I want its information come from a database, not hard coded here, right?
Right.
So let's do these thing as well, because it till now okay. We can configure any number of user and our according to the our roles and capability, our application works. But only things here till now, all the user I'm created in memory, right? In memory. But
That's
I
right.
don't want it should be come from a database. So let's create a database schema user and it stores these information first in my database, right?
Right.
And after that, I am logging from the my database, right?
Right.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So let's I am going to create one class my user. Okay,
This is
my
the
user.
database schema.
Yes, my user, and let's create the private long ID. Okay, database
Mm.
as usual. Private string. Notice by default this class user already have created by user, so I cannot create the username again, but you can create my different class, right? Username already exists, right? Due to that, I say, hey Spring, user collect class already used by the Spring framework, right? So I'm going to say my user. Okay,
Oh, okay.
and
Okay.
so this is my username and this is my password to fill, right? And I also need a role, right? They need a
Right.
role, right?
Yeah.
So
Detail.
like a private role can be one user can have a one role, two role. That means list a set of role, right? Let's
Right.
do set of string role, okay? Roles, okay?
Roles. Yeah.
As of now, this three field, okay, right?
Right.
And you can say I want to store in database. That means we need an entity, right?
Right.
And use the setter getter data everything data, right?
Right. Yeah.
And this should be ID and generated value. Okay. Now this is my database design done.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, done. And now let's need the JPA to store data, right?
Right.
So net interface repo extend JPA.
Are you going to use Swagger to create data, or it's
As
just
of
a
now, command line you can do. You can do
oh, the
later.
command line? Okay. Okay. Command line. Okay. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because you have a not so much time. Okay,
Okay. Okay. Sure. Yeah.
you can do, right. These are the practice needed. Now this is review come, and let's I am going to create one more configuration command line runner. Bean,
Yeah.
and the server startup I can create some user, right? Two user, three
Right.
user. So bean command line runner. No, notice I command line runner, right?
Yeah.
Command line runner. Maybe load initial user, load
Load. Yeah.
initial
User.
users
Yeah.
in DB. Okay, in DB. And here you need a repository.
Yeah.
My user repo.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Hmm. And here just say return. Okay. Already we did this multiple
We
time, right?
Yeah, we did that multiple times.
And so let's create my user here.
Yeah.
User
User
user one
user one,
to new
new my user,
and user
and
one dot set username. Let's
yeah.
set user and you can and password set password and here password must be encoded. You cannot store admin password directly, right? So
Right. Right. So
how to encode? I already
we-
this method encoder. So say
yeah.
hey password encoder dot encode and just give me a password. Okay,
Right.
whatever password and role address user one dot role. Let's this is the role can be user. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Get roles. Yeah.
Okay, but here role required the set, okay, because I decide the here set, right? Set of
Right.
role category. So here not the string, you say set of, okay, a role. As of now only one role, okay.
Oh,
Set
it's a setup. Okay, that's why. Okay. Yeah.
user is sorry, set role, okay.
Mm,
So now name, password, set, and saved repo dot save user, okay, user one.
right.
So let's say I'm created one user, and maybe I created one more user, okay, admin, admin, okay,
Right.
and it should be user two, user two, user two, user two, user two, save user two, and password. Let's go to the admin, okay. Now this password come from your Swagger, and then no code, no one know what is the password, okay. And here would be the admin, okay. And
Right.
let's give the two role here, user as well, right.
Right.
And here say two. So let's create one more user, okay, three user. In database you can create any number of, right, three user.
Right.
Admin, admin, admin. So let's create one admin special user, admin SP, right? Kuch bhi nahi, anything, is that right? Admin SP,
SP. Okay. Yeah.
special admin, okay? They have only admin privileges, okay? Okay, good. So here you can create it three user, maybe user. Here you can give any name, admin and admin SP, right?
Right.
And they have a role admin, a special role, okay. Might we create some private endpoint that is special user one can access. Let's time create the private API, okay. Hey, this is the my uh, private API, okay, private API, okay, private, okay, private API. This is the authenticated private API, okay, private something. But it's a
Right.
very specific API that can access only specific. And here I this one thing, these things, what happened, whatever I am written here, this is the one way to configure here, right? This is the one way to define the role something. But sometime without here, I can method level role also define. Hey, this special customer special role can. So on the each method level, you can also test, right? So let's I'm show you. So here, uh, password encoder. What I'm doing? Okay, username. Yeah, two user saves and user three save, right?
Right.
So let's I am restart this application so that this user can save three user one, admin, and SP, three user save. And let's say it's out user saves, okay, user save, okay. So now our objective, I'm not going to, here it's clear. I have a, so whenever I start server, this database is going to create application in database, right? And after that I'm row. So let's can I restart? It's clear, three
Yeah.
user, and hope it should be created in a database. So this is also very simple. There is no any hard. These all things you know, right? You have to
Right.
save data in database and help. And let's check the MySQL. Okay,
Right.
MySQL. Alright. So test the DB. Notice here save in DB. Some data save, right? Let's check the database. Uh, use test DB. Test DB. Okay. Select show tables. Show tables. Okay. This is the my user table, right?
Right.
Select star from my user. A user. So notice these are the some notice here. ID1, some password. Notice this is the password
Right.
and username. This is the one. Okay. So in this way, we can create this password. Notice this is the one admin password and this is the one admin space. Okay.
Right. Right.
In this, notice no one can understand what is this password, right?
But
This
the
is
role is encrypted too. Role.
no role is simple role. Role is not encrypted. Only the password we encrypted.
Right. Right.
Somehow due to the ID, password, then username, then something bigger
Maybe
term.
on your right hand side.
Maybe somewhere you cannot, maybe just copy one row here, something from here, something from here, admin. Okay. Role is not encrypted. Okay.
Okay.
Let's select only the role. Okay. Role, roles, column name, roles. Okay.
Roles. Roles. Yeah.
These are the roles. Why roles is the array? Notice the roles is the list. So list are by default in this order they are stored. Okay.
Oh, okay. Okay. List. Yeah. Yeah. They are
So not
list.
the
Yeah.
flat string column. Okay. And these are your encrypted password. Okay. This is the password. Password. Okay. This is the password, right? All three. And
Mhm.
your corresponding username. Username. Okay. This is the username and this is the password, right?
Right.
Now I am going to authenticate from database, not the admin. Okay. It's clear. Now I am going to comment out because each start they are going to create database, right? I don't want, right?
Right.
I am just commented out just for our purpose. Now our data is ready, and just stop here. And now I am going to comment everything which are the written here. Like previously we are created this user
Right.
one created, and I am created this. Previously these three code written. I am created this user, right? Password and the roles. I created this one. Okay. And
Yeah.
similarly admin user. Why my in
Yeah. Yeah. You can just do the comment out. I can practice that
yeah.
part as well.
So
Yeah.
I am going to comment out here for your
Yeah.
purpose. I'm not going to read the user detail from the in memory. Just as of now, just I'm commented out for your reference, right? I'm not
Sure.
removing. That help, okay?
Sure.
Okay. Or you can good option. Yes. Okay, done. Here I am going to provide this implementation, right? So here say, notice this is what this being this return. You want to return this is what is this? Note. Let's understand. This is the interface. This
Mm.
interface have only one method. So we can overload this method. Means we have to provide the implementation of this class, right? Because this is the interface. So here you have to just say, hey, I am going to, interface can be implemented multiple way. Maybe write one class and implement another way, anonymous way, right? So let's go to the anonymous way, right? So return new, yeah, okay, this way, and here say just this way, right? Anonymous say here you can override the implemented method, right?
Right.
So here you are going to implement using anonymous, maybe lambda function, anonymous, anything you can do. But here is right. So is it clear why I am writing here? Because this is the interface. They have only one method, so we can implement by a lambda expression, by a subclass, by an anonymous class, right? So any way we can do, right?
Yeah.
Even you can do using the lambda expression, right?
Right.
So
And
how do
why do we need that?
because I need the user detail service because the our Spring framework need user detail to verify, right? You need the
Right.
username and password. Username
Yes.
password means user details. User details we have to provide. Now previously we are providing in the hard coded here.
Oh, okay, okay. I see. Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm going to load from data from database, right?
Mm-hmm.
So here we can say, maybe simply say, hey, I'm going to use the lambda expression instead of that. Simply say here, okay. As of now, just okay. So here I am going to say, here I am going to call my repository. Hey repository, give me all the user, right? By username. They need the one
Right,
API username. So here you go in the repository, say, I need one uh, uh, mm, return my user find by username, right?
right.
You know how to write SQL and string.
Yes, yes. I remember. I know
So
that.
I don't want to find by ID because user while writing the password they find the username. So we need the one repository method find by username, right?
Hmm.
So here say I need the good. So here need a repository. So I can take here repository. Say hey, my repository. Okay, inject. Okay, my repository, right? And
Right.
here I want to say even you can either lambda expression. You can say hey, you can remove them and you can just write this way, right? And
Right.
I don't need anything, just username input. I need later part you can do, okay? Just okay. So here I am going to say, hey, my repository find by username, and this is the username I have, right? Username, okay? This is my username, okay?
Right. And then you
That,
return my user. Return by username.
ah, and here say if no user, then what say? Uh, throw exception, right? No user found, right? Exception.
Hmm.
Here say if null, might be someone type in caption throw, okay, uh, throw thro throw new, okay, okay, username not found, right? User not found, okay.
Got it. Yeah.
Something you have to check whatever the username task user exists or not. If exists, then I have to return this question that is I return this user my user work or not here. So notice our compiler is not happy because this your class Spring don't know what is your class, right? Spring only know about his username because this is the my user class. Spring don't know about your class, right? So I
Right.
have to say, okay, don't worry, I can convert my user object to the your user object, right? And return.
Right.
So already know in this way we can convert the object, right?
Right.
So same thing I can go here, say, hey, don't worry, I can create user in this way, right? I can create, I follow this syntax, right? This syntax
Right.
because this syntax, and here already have my here already have username. So from you say from my user dot get username, right? And here password already have a password. You can give them as a DB user, right? That's a good name. Rename DB user, right? This is the DB user, okay?
Right.
So DB user dot get name, and here say DB user dot get password and role. You need a role, and here say DB user dot get role, get role. But notice they are not happy. Role. What is the role? Take role is expecting arrays, right? Dot dot means array of string they are expecting. And what our role? Our role have a list. It's not a mismatch. So here say we know already know not a problem. You can convert. You know convert to list are set to array, just to array, and here say string colon name. Okay. So you are going to convert to the set a list to the array, right?
Right.
In this way say hey this is the my user, and you can return the user here. Just done. Okay. So is it clear in this? What say? Local variable is okay. So you say don't use the declare variable, just return this way, right? Not an issue.
Right, right. Okay.
And even just do it and just let's logger. You can okay. You can select this is my DB user and I just print my Spring user. This is our Spring user. Okay.
Right,
Just check my conversion happen or not, right?
right,
This is the things we have to change here. Just for now, I am getting data from my database. Not notice here, not any hard coded thing, right? Previously we are doing here, right?
right, right,
Now I am saying no. Hey Spring, use my repository, get data from the database. Okay, and what is the DB user? And this is my converted Spring user. Okay,
right.
this is my DB user. Okay, and let's test. So this is the things you have to do for your database username password authentication, right? Let's test.
Yeah,
I'm testing. Let's do. So here notice there is a no user in this. Now all the user come from my database. So these are the simple, yeah, the way where you can use the Spring Security to authenticate and authorize your resources, your endpoint, right?
right.
Let's start it and let's try.
This will take some time to get
Yeah,
all
slowly,
the
slowly.
real-
So let's start my blad. This is accessible
yeah,
/ home
yeah,
accessible, and let's try access some API that's are specific to the authentication, right? Let's I want to access this one. Okay, they're asking password, and now I am
right,
using the password. This password come from my database, right? Authenticated.
right,
Notice, let's
right,
I'll check my logs. Notice this is my Hibernate query run, and this is my database come from my database. Notice this is my password. This is the rows,
right,
right? And this DB user converted to the Spring user, and this is notice Spring user username, password protected, right? And all the other fields. And notice these are the roles. They are appended something under those role. By default Spring internally understand this is role user, right?
that's right.
So this is the way. Let's see, I can try to access other resources. So that means now our authentication come from my database, right? And let's try to access this endpoint to accessible or not. Accessible. Let's try to access the admin API. Accessible or not? Not accessible because you're not admin, right?
Right.
So let's log out. And I'm trying to access from a admin API. I'm going to log in from admin done API accessible, right? And let's access to admin API 2, right?
Right.
Admin API 2, that's good. And let's access this private API. These are the not match here, right? Let's access. Notice this is not allowed. Because
This is SP special.
because we have not till now given any permission to here.
Right, right.
These are free available, this public by user, this by admin. But this endpoint I cannot define anywhere, so cannot access. Okay. So let's say I want to access by a special admin because I have created one more user like a admin SP that have a privileges, admin special privilege, right?
Right.
So how will do? So one way we can go right here again code, and one way I am going to write here again say, hey, any request, okay, I say, hey, here go any request, here say any request that role SP admin, and here say that start with a private, right? This is the one way.
Right.
Okay, this is the one way, and we can do it. This is the we can do it. Okay, but I don't want say. So let's comment out. I don't want this way. Another way using the Java code. Here I something mentioned. Here have like a pre-authorized. So here you can write the same thing whatever you are writing here. Like here writing a has role, so like has role. Here you can say has role. Okay, has role and single quote. And what is your role? You want to admin SP. Here admin SP. Okay.
Oh, you are writing there.
Yes. On the method wise, I want to specify this method which role I have access.
This is another way you're showing.
Another way, yes. Generally,
Okay.
whenever your bigger application, sometime I'm not going to configure each and everything on the matcher. Maybe on the each method level, I'm going to generally in preferable way, right?
Right,
This
right,
method for which role? So here say admin SP. So only admin SP, the kind of user can access this my role API, right?
right. Yeah.
And no, here you have to whenever you do here, okay, okay, and let's test, right? Now restart. So in this case, for this API, I am not defining this security configuration here, right? And
Right.
okay, let's even I am comment out. I don't want to define here, right? I'm commented here, right? No, right? Let's start the server. Okay. So here I am going to access this private API. Who can access? Only the role have a admin SP privileges. Is there any user have? Yes, I created one specific user that is the admin SP that have a, this privileges, right? Admin SP.
Right.
So let's test because in the database I have a one customer with the admin SP privilege, right? Role.
Right.
So let's test. I started. Okay, let's start server. Let's start. Yeah. So little bit till now clear, but
Yes.
yeah, good. So two way to define your role. One in your HTTP security, like request matcher. You can
Or at the
use.
method
Oh,
level.
yes. One thing I miss here. Whenever you say method level security, here you can to enable method level security. Enable method security. This you have to enable so that ki Spring know some code or API where you have the method level security, right?
Okay, okay, I see.
Here you have to tell the Spring, right?
Right, right,
Else it's not work. Please note that whenever you are going to enable method level, you have to mention here.
right.
And here one thing, let's say I'm getting one. I'm just giving one more suggestion here while enabling this method level. Then what happens? So let's application is started little bit. Yes. So let's go and here let's try to access only home. It by default accessible. I am going to access admin API as of now directly, right? This API, admin needed, okay, accessible. And I am trying to access this private one. This is the private one. I am trying to say not accessible. Let's log out, okay. Log out and again try to access this. Again, now here I am going to log in for the which user? Admin SP, right?
Admin SP.
Admin SP. Admin SP. Notice they have again unauthorized accessor. Look the error. Notice here admin privileges have a role. What role? role underscore admin SP, right? So by default, Spring internally append role underscore, right? So these things we have to append here. Notice. So this
Okay, okay,
thing
okay. Yes,
you
yes.
have to append role underscore something. This is the additional things you have to take in care.
But not
Why
for others.
not for others? Why this required? Because notice this role method. Spring internally, whenever you say dot set roles, this roles internally they are appending this thing. Notice hard coded role underscore your role. So this is the
Okay,
way
okay.
Spring internally implemented concept. Each give the prefix like role underscore something, right? Due to that, programmatically, if you are here you are building, they can append the role, right? But whenever you are giving here, that's how you have to mention role underscore, right?
Oh, it's only for method.
Method level, yes. And let's start it and test. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
this API I want to test. So this is the additional step, but these are the more convenient way because each developer many methods, many API. So sometimes it's help method level security as well. This method which role have access, right? But
Right.
excuse me, and hope it should run in these times. Okay, started. Let's say 9090 available. Let's I want to try the direct private. Okay, private API admin SP admin SP. Now what say again? What users say role don't have admin SP. I am given. This is must be accessible. Role has I am enable pre role. So let's test this. Okay. Is if authorization failure, why say it should be admin SP? Admin SP, we are able to access. Private API should be accessible. Should be accessible. Here I have not mentioned. I will mention role pre-authorized enable. Here I mention. I'll test, but it should allow. In this way, you can also test. Again, let's want to add role here. Then it's what happened. First check this API matcher and something like private. Okay, let's check admin SP. Okay, and restart. But it should in this way also works, right? I have tested.
Right.
Mm. But the different mechanism this Spring frameworks are supported, right?
Right.
So let's again test the Spring API 2. Directly accessible. Okay. And now say that's private. Admin SP. Admin SP. Admin SP. Now accessible, right?
Right.
So in this way, you can only the private. And notice these are the private and this, but they have only role of the private. They cannot access the other an admin a public API, right? Let's try to access
Right.
this because they don't have admin permission, right?
Right.
Let's try to access this. Okay, they are a problem, right? Because they are not permission. Because in case of our admin roles, I am given only a specific role admin, right? and they have
Right.
only one URL which can access, right? Here they not access this, they cannot access other. So it is the clear.
Yeah.
Any doubt, any confusion? So notice little bit coding required here, means configuration required for enable security in your application, right?
Right. Right.
Just mention it, which URL, which a role user can access, right?
Right.
So for
But
string, yeah,
this is like if any company needs more, let's say, user,
right.
or they need more access to more
Hmm,
API. So you
hmm.
just add
Add here, mad
those
add.
things.
Yeah,
Mhm.
role, privileges, capability, and good part here you can all the details store in your and database, right? And from
Yeah.
database you can do verification.
But in the real world, they always use database, not like
Yep. Finally, always your user name somewhere is stored, right?
hmm,
So because without your detailed credential is stored in the database, who can know, right?
hmm,
But surely, so we have also learned how to store user in the database and password are stored in the encrypted format, right?
right, right,
And also, we just tell, hey Spring, you can authenticate my user from the database, not from the default user. You can
right,
call my database user, get user, and accordingly you can verify.
right,
So each and everything about the username and password verification, role verification, that's all taken care by your Spring framework itself. And all is the code written by the Spring security team for you. Just you included this library, Spring Boot security, right?
right,
And just include this library and all the benefit by default your all the endpoints go into the authent authorize, means ki authentication and authorization happen. Okay, and how you define ki which are the publicly available, not available, just need one http security configuration, right?
right,
Here you mention, hey, whenever request come, these all allow, permit all means allow, and these request match. Whatever the match, public star star, only user role can access, admin only admin, private only administration. What is this role? Role means whenever you creating user, you can set the role, right? So whenever I
right,
am going to creating my user at that time say, hey, your username, your password, and your role, and this role come from a database, right?
right,
So accordingly, role this endpoints someone can access.
right.
Is it any doubt, any confusion? This is a very simple. This you already know how to design a model, how to
Yeah.
store it in database.
The only thing is that the security part. That's
Only thing this configuration you have
this
to
is
learn.
new. Yeah, it's new.
A good part here, whatever I've written, each and everything, just Spring documentation mentioned. I'm not writing any extra thing. Notice here they all written for us. Notice
Hmm. Right, right, right.
all given for us. Just we can use here by default. They are not
But
in a database.
they have not given example of how you write on the database.
You can say this is the user detail. I know I don't Spring say I don't know your database, right? So I can just give an in memory user. You can change this to your database, right? The
Right.
same thing here we did. Here say I'm not going to use default. I am just using load from database, right?
Hmm.
Is it good?
Yeah, it's good now.
So let's do practice, and this is the one kind of Spring security, and this is required generally each and every application. Maybe your web applications or Spring Boot application anywhere, any URL you want to protect, that must be protected, right?
What is the difference between a web application and Spring Boot application?
Generally here you notice a responding not an HTML page, right? Here you are responding any data, right? Directly Spring.
Yeah, so this is web.
This is the simple Spring REST
Oh,
API.
okay, I
REST
see, I
API.
see.
Okay,
I see. Okay, okay.
this is the only REST API. My application is stopped, right?
It's
Okay,
a REST API, yeah. Okay.
So any URL you can protect. Maybe I can say here not only REST controller, you can say just like a controller in web application, right? And here you can control all the mapping, right?
Mm-hmm.
So whenever any mapping going to anyone hit, and they are going to prompt username and password. So till now, today we have covered how all your URLs are protected from the Spring Security or from the role-based permission, right? Is it okay?
Yeah, it's good.
So this is the one kind of your API authentication and authorization. And nowadays there are multiple things. Surely we are not going to the cover, but if you read this documentation, Spring say other way to also implement. Nowadays, maybe you notice uh, JWT, bearer token, API key authentication, right? So all the things here mentioned, authentication,
Oh,
authorization,
okay.
author to, whichever you want to implement, you can just implement this, right?
It's the same way, same.
Yeah, yeah. So here you notice sometime you want to JWT token, API key, everything. Here mention how can you will do, right? Each and everything, how to
Right, right,
configure, how to do. But if you know the basic things, the rest other similar, right?
right.
Whenever we are going to mm, if anyone want to integrate OAuth to JWT, API key, bearer key, by default each and everything supported by the Spring Security as well. Just provide your configuration. So as of now, we are provide our all the credential, username and password my own application, right? This is the
Right.
one. Another way, notice nowadays you can go and log in any maybe chat GPT, any websites. They are going to authorize from your Facebook or your Gmail, right? They're not
That's
asking
it.
to your username and password. That means that some other person, if already you have authorized, they can also give some. So these are the some different mechanisms to the authentication authorization, right?
Right.
So lots of things Spring support, but so surely we are not going to cover each and everything. As per your application need, you can just explore the Spring security documentation. They
Sure.
have level everything for us, right?
Right.
But this is the basic things which at least we should aware, right?
Right. Right.
Whenever okay, that's good.
Yeah, it's good. Thank you.
Let's do practice.
Yeah, it's a
Thank
good one. A long one.
at least now you are able to secure your application. At
Right,
least,
right, right. Yeah. I have to practice few more days to get used to.
yeah, that's okay.
But
Thank
I
you.
know the idea. Thank you.
And that is not just need some little bit configuration and just need to study the documentation. How,
Right.
because we are not writing anything, right? We are just taking the help of a Spring framework. So if the way Spring support, the way we have to write the configuration, right? I cannot write
Right.
anything from my logic. Yeah, what I am thinking. What I am thinking not works. What Spring's documentation thing that's work, right?
Right.
If something is not work, that means we are not following the Spring documentation. Be careful.
Right.
So this is thumb rule. Whenever you are going to study any framework, any documentation, please read carefully how those framework design, and you have to follow the same rules which Spring security say to get the Spring benefit, right?
Mm. Because I will see many frameworks at work, like when I
Hmm.
come to work, right? Like
Yeah,
different scenario.
yeah. Okay, so let's do practice and follow
Sure.
the Spring security documentation for more detail. This is the complete details available here, right?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.